Welcome to Nat'l, a weekly podcast about the celebrations occurring on that specific day. There will be some we know too well and some we have yet to hear of. Let's join together and we'll learn something new, eat yummy food, and have a great time. Today, we're here to celebrate another day. Another day that also should not be recognized just today, or actually, even just this entire week. And that is National Teacher Appreciation.
If one of y'all says some silly ass name, this whole class is gonna feel my wrath. Now, D nice.
Do you mean Denise?
Son of a bitch! You say your name right now.
Denise?
Say it right.
Denise.
Correctly.
Denise.
Right.
Denise.
Right.
D nice.
That's better. Thank you. Now, Ron, where
Today,
are you?
May 3rd, is National Teacher Appreciation Day. The National Education Association describes today as a day for honoring teachers and recognizing the lasting contribution they make to our lives. When I look back at school, it would be wrong to disregard it as though it didn't shape me in any way. Some of us spend more time with our school family than our blood family. If you were lucky, a parent was home after school, awaiting to assist your needs. But I feel like most of us weren't in that situation. Growing up, I lived with my mom, who was a single mother, and she managed to have time for us in the morning, but she wasn't really able to be home after school. Sometimes she would come in really late. Luckily, we managed to keep things pretty stable. We weren't the most rebellious kids. But even as I got older and switched homes, my other parents still didn't really come home until the early evening. When I got into high school, I became more involved with school and rarely saw them. And then for those who get the chance to go to college, you tend to leave the blood family behind and create another school family. When you collectively add up all this time spent at school, yes, you're with your friends, but more importantly, you're with teachers. You're with those who focus entirely on you and your needs. For the sake of some listeners who may be rolling their eyes and only remembering the teachers they hated, I will only say this once and I'll say it now. Yes, some teachers suck. Some shouldn't be teachers to begin with. But at the end of the day, we don't know their stories, so we just kind of have to leave it at that. Teachers have been shaping us for centuries now. But it wasn't until 1944 that education leaders discussed the need for teacher appreciation. It was Eleanor Roosevelt who persuaded Congress at the time to establish this as an unofficial holiday and to give it national recognition. Then, over time, it grew from a day to a week. But don't you think that teachers deserve much more than that?
I have had classes that were so low. I wondered, how am I going to take this group in 9 months from where they are to where they need to be? How do I raise the self-esteem of a child and his academic achievement at the same time? One year I came up with a bright idea. I told all my students, you were chosen to be in my class. Because I am the best teacher and you are the best students, they put us all together so we could show everybody else how to do it. One of the students said, really? I said, really? We have to show the other classes how to do it. So when we walk down the hall, people will notice us. So you can't make noise, you just have to strut. You say it long enough, it starts to be a part of you. And so
knowledge and wisdom maneuver their way into the individual mind through many mediums. Among these, teachers have historically been all-encompassing. Citizens in ancient Greece, for example, were largely defined by education, as well as the ability to receive one. Academic men of the time strove for not just personal experience, but the experience of others. Self-respected thinkers, like the famous philosopher Aristotle, once posited a sentiment that may perhaps sound extreme nowadays, which was that those who educate children are more to be honored than those who produce them, for these only give them life, those the art of living well. Considering that reproduction is an evolutionary obligation, you can find sense in his words. But do the educated still honor their educators? Teachers embrace the core responsibility of their job, to prepare younger generations for what comes next. Whether it's a state-mandated test, their future careers, or something deeper, like what type of person we want to be in this world. Education as a career is not a decision that is taken lightly. Teachers are often ridiculed by mentioning their salary, but why should it matter? For teachers, every moment of progress is deeply rewarding. They've accomplished a fulfilling career, one that carries profound implications, one to be proud of. Education is the only thing that can't be taken, making teachers the most charitable people in the world. If you're curious to what teachers make, I think the perfect person to tell you is Taylor Molly.
I mean, you're a teacher, Taylor. Come on, be honest. What do you make? And I wish he hadn't done that. Asked me to be honest. Because you see, I've got this little policy in my classroom about honesty and butt kicking, which is, if you ask for it, then I have to let you have it. You want to know what I make? I make kids work harder than they ever thought they could. I can make a C+ feel like a Congressional Medal of Honor, and I can make an A- feel like a slap in the face. How dare you waste my time with anything less than your very best? I make kids sit through 40 minutes of study hall in absolute. No, you may not work in groups. No, you cannot ask me a question, so put your hand down. Why won't I let you go to the bathroom? Because you're bored, and you don't really have to go to the bathroom, do you? I make parents tremble in fear when I call home at around dinner time. Hi, this is Mr. Molly. Hope I haven't called at a bad time. I just wanted to talk to you about something that your son said today in class. To the biggest bully in the grade, he said, "Hey, why don't you leave that kid alone?" I still cry sometimes, don't you? And that was the noblest act of courage that I have ever seen. I make parents see their children for who they are and who they can be. You want to know what I make? I make kids wonder. I make them question. I make them criticize. I make them apologize and mean it. I make them write, and then I make them read. I make them spell. Definitely beautiful, definitely beautiful, definitely beautiful. Define nightly, beautiful, until they will never misspell either one of those words again. I make them show all their work in math class and then hide it on their final drafts in English. I make them realize that if you've got this, then you follow this. And if somebody ever tries to judge you based on what you make, you give them this. Here, let me break it down for you so you know what I say is true. Teachers make a difference. Now, what about you?
Instead of asking a teacher what they make, maybe you should ask what is their future. Because education continues to evolve as society's expectations change and as technology advances. Schools are trying all different things to keep students entertained. While the public school system may be diverting towards standardized tests and turning teachers into robots, there are some schools, like the New Village School, that are trying to change things up. New Village is located north of San Francisco and promotes a classroom without walls program, where each student spends one day a week outside of the classroom, either in nature or perhaps visiting interesting and content-related sites in the area. That's right, it really is possible to make content-related stuff interesting. Students may participate in activities such as kayaking, sailing, rock climbing, and much more. New Village's philosophy extends outside the classroom and feels as though we are each involved in creating peace in our world. Another example of an innovative school is the Ron Clark Academy in Atlanta. This is a school where students enter the main hall by a big blue slide, and teachers and students sing and dance together through lessons. They've made school fun without lowering their expectations for academic success. But you know what hasn't changed at these two schools? The need for passionate and well-trained educators. Teachers haven't been eliminated in these innovative schools. They're more important than ever. Teachers have a major role in our society, and if we want to do things well, then there will always be a place for them. Now, I said if. If by any chance there's a teacher that has always made an impact on you, it may seem weird, but maybe try and find them on Facebook or something. Just send them a quick message. Tell them thank you, that you appreciate it, that maybe you wouldn't have gotten to where you were today because of them. Maybe they won't be affected by it, but maybe it's just the thing that they need to hear. Education is hard, and it's not for everyone. And like they say, a little goes a long way. Thanks for listening to this episode of Nat'l, and be sure to stay tuned for more. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts to stay updated.